We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cage My IQ. I am your host, D-Bake. Tonight we will be recapping the Bellator 257 card, which was headlined by two light heavyweight Grand Prix matchups in Vadim Nemkov versus Phil Davis, and then Corey Anderson against D. Yashuradov, which both were good matchups. But once again, we are Cage My IQ. You can find us right there on our socials. Once again, my name is Daniel Bakley, the host producer, and we can find us right there on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Twitter handle is right there to the left. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Twitch channel. We go live every Monday night at 8:30 on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. But we're trying to grow our YouTube and Twitch. So definitely subscribe and follow both of those channels, and then keep up with the updates on all your MMA content on our Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But once again, Cage My IQ, the best place for your MMA content. But let's get started with the action that we got tonight. The first matchup we had was a barnstormer. You have to watch this on YouTube when it posts on there in the next hour. But we had Paul Daly defeats Sabah Hamasi by second round TKO. This was a great matchup right in itself. The first round, Sabah came out guns blazing right away, and he actually almost finished Paul Daly, but Paul Daly had the luck of the ref not calling for it, and he was this close to being out of it, but he survived. Then Sabah Hamasi kind of slowed down a little bit, but once the second round hit, that's when Paul Daly took advantage of his second life, you would say, and he connected on a right hand that just flustered Hamasi. Then came back in him with the left hand, dropped him, and then he finished him with the ground and pound shots, and the ref called for the bell, stopped it, and then gave Paul Daly the second round TKO in great fashion. This is the perfect example of don't give up because you're always in it until the ref stops it. Paul Daly picks it up, finishes him after almost being finished, and then now he gets his hand raised, and I'd be interested to see what happens next with Paul Daly. But he gets the second round KO. The next matchup on this saw Vader Ortega defeat Desiree Yanez by majority decision. This is a matchup in itself that I had high hopes for, but it was kind of a letdown. Vader Ortega did win, but a lot of people think that she didn't look good doing so. And it was kind of a letdown, especially after that Paul Daly Sabah Hamasi fight that led the Bellator 257 card tonight. Like, there's not much to say. Like, Vader did enough to win, and that's about it. But moving on to the co-main event, we had Corey Anderson defeat his opponent, D. Yashuradov, by third round ground and pound. That's what I say, because basically what happened was Corey Anderson dominated this fight. He was able to take down Yags several times, and then he was just unleashing a bunch of ground and pound and elbow shots to him to the point where like he was bleeding. And then by the third round, the ref saw enough at some point when Anderson was laying those elbows D turned over, and then that's when Anderson started landing those haymaker shots to the back, and Yax couldn't defend himself, and the ref basically just cut for the end of the bout and gave Corey Anderson the win by third round ground and pound. He took him down several times, hit many elbows and shots, and there was no offense on the other side. Corey Anderson had his way and barely took any damage, so which is a plus for him because now he's going to go up in the semifinals against Ryan Bader and to not take any shots at all, where Bader definitely took a few shots, even though he did win once he got to the second round of his matchup. But Corey Anderson's going to be the fresher fighter. That's going to be like a great semifinal matchup because both guys have a wrestling background, and Anderson's going to be, I believe, the tall fighter, but it's going to be interesting to see how he handles Ryan Bader in his wrestling game, pressuring the guy down and then just going with his own ground and pound himself. But if I had to lead it off now, like I'm going to have to wait like a couple of weeks to give my expertise opinion on it because I want to see where the mindset is and when the fight is, and then how they're going to do that and how the card's going to shape up. But Corey Anderson won this by, like I said, third round ground and pound. Now we move on to the main event of the evening, which showed the last fight, which is Vadim Nemkov defeating Phil Davis by a unanimous decision. This was their second fight. Basically a mirror image of the first fight, except for the fact that Phil Davis didn't put as much offense on this fight. But when he did hit Nemkov, he was able to split him open twice. But it's just the difference maker was Nemkov coming in stronger right away, getting those first two rounds in before he got tired. He was able to put in a lot of damage. Even though most of the fight, Phil Davis was the aggressor pushing forward. It just, when you look at the scorecard and you see that Nemkov had 125 strikes to Davis's 36, it's hard to go against Nemkov. Like, Phil Davis did get going in the third round, even though he lost that narrowly, and then he won the fourth and fifth. But Nemkov won the first, he won the second easily, and then he basically took out the third with the last minute of the fight of that round, and he picked up the 48-47 victory and retained his light heavyweight title, and then moved on to the semifinals of the Grand Prix. And now he awaits the winner of Yoel Romero versus Anthony Rumble Johnson, which is May 7th. So we're going to have a couple weeks to wait before we get an opponent for Nemkov. But one thing to watch with this is to see Nemkov's gas tank. I think he put too much emphasis on volume early on, where he probably could have gotten away with a little bit less and still would have won those rounds. But I feel like this was a really good matchup because even though Davis didn't put the offense up, his defense was really good, and he was able to withstand shots. And then he allowed Nemkov to kind of put too much out of his gas tank, and that allowed Davis to get the second half to fight his way. But I'm going to have to see more offense in the future out of Phil Davis. I don't know what he has left in the future, but I feel like a few more fights that he can work on before he finally retires. But Nemkov definitely advanced 48-47. I still think he's the favorite in the Grand Prix because of his overall skills. Like, he showed a little bit of wrestling. He showed a lot of the stand-up, and then he even did those leg kicks. Those leg kicks were his saving grace in this fight. Him just kicking very low to Davis kind of slowed him down. It's when he stopped doing those leg kicks is when Phil Davis picked it up. But yeah, that's our wrap-up of Bellator 256's fight card. Once again, I'm your host, D-Bake. And once again, you can follow us on all of our social media channels to the left. Those are our hashtags and everything. So follow us at all those channels. Definitely the Twitch and the YouTube and the Twitter. Instagram, if that's your thing, definitely follow that too, because I post a lot of pictures of it. And this is Cage My IQ, the best place for MMA content. And once again, I am Daniel Bakley, the host / producer. I can't wait to come back in a couple of weeks to do the Bellator preview and recap for 258 with you guys. But definitely give me a comment on here. Let me know what you think of the fight card, because it was a pretty decent one. I give it like a 6 out of 10. Nothing special. I think the big thing that made it so high in my mind was the Paul Derry Saba Hamasi fight, because of both rounds being so different. But definitely check out all of our content. I'm pumping out stuff every day for you guys, for the most part, for 4 different promotions, especially with PFL coming out next week. But definitely check out everything, and definitely check out the Sports Box, which is our affiliate. They're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So follow them, subscribe to all their pages, pumping out stuff for podcast for every sport on just about every day of the lineup. So definitely check them out. They have very underrated, very good group of guys, very knowledgeable. We got the NFL draft coming up next week, so we're going to have a lot of coverage of that. But once again, come get your stuff from Cage by IQ. I'm your host, D-Bake. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night.
Thank you for watching this episode of Cage My IQ on the Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at Sportsbox Show, Twitter at Sportsbox Show, Instagram at The Sportsbox Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hamilton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thank you for joining us.